Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to completely master your celpip exam strategies by decoding the cultural fine print of Quebec rental laws. If you've been banging your head against the wall trying to figure out exactly how examiners trip up test takers, well, you're in the right place. We aren't just looking at English today. We're unlocking the specific Canadian legal and cultural background that powers the exam's trickiest questions. And we'll be using a mix of English and just a little bit of Chinese to give you the ultimate edge. Let's get right into it. Here's our whiteboard breakdown for today. 1. Quebec culture meets celpip. 2. Essential vocabulary and slang. 3. Dodging reading section traps. 4. Speaking, the sandwich approach. 5. Winning writing task 2. And 6. Core execution strategies. Section 1. Quebec culture meets celpip. To really understand these test scenarios, you've got to understand the bedrock of Quebec renting, which is the standard bile, or 标准租业. In Quebec, all residential leases literally have to use this mandatory official form issued by the Tribunal Administratif du Logement, or the TAL. So here's the crucial takeaway. The standard bile is absolute law. Any random verbal promise from a landlord or some custom-written clause that conflicts with this official TAL document, it's completely invalid. If you spot a conflict in a test prompt between what was spoken and what's on the standard lease, remember, the lease wins every single time. That actually brings us to a massive cultural difference that examiners absolutely love to use against you. Think about this for a second. Can a Quebec landlord demand a damage or security deposit before you even move in? The answer is a hard no. Landlords legally cannot ask for illegal deposits, or 违法押金. That means no damage deposits, no security deposits, and absolutely no post-dated checks. Literally, the maximum they can demand upfront is just the first month's rent. So if a test scenario in your listening or reading section features a landlord asking for a security deposit, you need to instantly recognize that as an illegal deposit trap. You also want to pay super close attention to home workspace clauses. Say a prompt mentions a tenant running a business from their Montreal apartment. Setting up a home studio to run graphic design software or an e-commerce site, totally legal. But under Section F of the standard lease, if that business brings in frequent external visitors, like heavy foot traffic, it strictly requires the landlord's written consent. This tiny little nuance is basically an examiner's dream for a reading comprehension trap, so keep your eyes peeled. Section 2, Essential Vocabulary and Slang. It's time to build a mental mind map of the essential vocabulary and local slang you're practically guaranteed to encounter. These legal, utility, and slang terms are the exact keywords used to build the trickiest exam questions. Under the legal umbrella, watch for tenant insurance, which is often mandatory, and subletting or transferring a lease, which is incredibly common, since breaking a lease in Quebec is notoriously difficult. When it comes to utilities, keep an eye out for appliances and the absolutely critical difference between what's included versus excluded. And for slang? Well, examiners love throwing in phrases like read the fine print, which just means checking the small details, and break the lease, referring to early termination. Let's do a quick rapid-fire review of the hardest words from that list, kicking off with arrears. This is a highly specific legal term that pops up in advanced prompts all the time. It simply means money that is owed and should have been paid earlier. In the context of your exam, it almost exclusively refers to unpaid rent. That right there is your trigger word. Following right behind that is eviction. Eviction is the formal legal removal of a tenant. And you know what? It's very often tied directly to those arrears we just talked about. Consider this a giant warning sign. If you see the word arrears in a text, expect eviction to be the landlord's threatened next step. Okay, here's a massive one for the listening section. Hydro. Do not let this word confuse you in a listening prompt. I mean, it sounds like a water bell, right? Honestly, who wouldn't think that? But in a uniquely Canadian context, specifically in Quebec with Hydro-Quebec, this strictly means your electricity bill. If you accidentally calculate a water bill when they say hydro, you are gonna get the question wrong. Finally, watch out for the month-to-month trap. This is a huge cultural background fact you need to know. Unlike other Canadian provinces, Quebec leases actually auto-renew for an entire year by default when they end, not just month-to-month. The test makers know this trips up newcomers, and they are actively banking on you not knowing it. They deliberately test your awareness of the specific rule. So whatever you do, don't let them win that one. Section 3. Dodging reading section traps. Let's see how they hide a shanjing, or trap. Let's break down how a classic test scenario is built.
You might read an angry tenant's email complaining the ad clearly stated that indoor parking and all utilities were included. But then, when you cross-reference that with the actual fine print of the lease, it reveals indoor parking is billed on demand. Hydro is excluded. You've always got to contrast the tenant's subjective, highly emotional complaint against the cold, hard legal facts of the contract. The tension between those two documents, that is exactly where the correct answers are hiding.
Section 4. Speaking, the sandwich approach. In speaking part 6, you'll often have to handle a really complex, stressful situation, like maybe calling a property manager about a missing utility inclusion. Your tone here is absolutely everything. To score high when confronting management, you want to use this exact 3-step sandwich approach. Step 1, express understanding so you stay polite. Step 2, firmly point out the actual contract facts. This proves your grasp of the vocabulary. And step 3, propose a constructive solution. Using this structure keeps you polite but legally firm, and it completely avoids emotional accusations. It's the perfect way to demonstrate that balanced, professional tone the graders are hunting for. Section 5, Winning Writing Task 2. For writing Task 2, you have to argue a personal viewpoint. And this is where using real Canadian cultural context will absolutely set you apart from the pack. Let's say the prompt asks you to debate government rent control policies, or whether landlords should be restricted on annual rent hikes. Instead of falling back on generic arguments, anchor your essay with the reality of Quebec's strict TAL annual rent increase guidelines. By using real-world Canadian infrastructure as concrete evidence, your argument becomes incredibly persuasive, and it proves to the grader that you truly understand the society you're writing about. Section 6, Core Execution Strategies. Let's tie all of these tactics together into 3 golden rules you can apply across your entire exam. First off, locate exclusions first. When you're reading a contract or listening to an ad, stop looking for what's included. Instantly map out what is not included and hunt for those extra fees, because that's where the questions live. Second, adopt the Canadian tone. Always rely on that sandwich approach during conflicts to stay balanced and constructive. And third, cross-reference details. If a reading prompt boasts an amazing walk score of 93, quickly connect that data to everyday scenarios in the text. Are they near the REM train? Grocery stores? Verify those details to see if the landlord is just exaggerating. So, the crucial question I want to leave you with today is this. Are you simply trying to memorize English vocabulary, or are you truly ready to master the Canadian mindset and conquer the cultural fine print? Ultimately, maximizing your score isn't just about understanding the English language, it's about navigating the unique logic of Canadian life. Dive into those lease agreements, watch out for those hidden traps, and I will see you in the next explainer.